What is up, internet world, and welcome back to Accelerate. My name is Mike, and the man behind the camera is Ian, and today we're bringing the 2023 Killing It Again EV6 GT. 576 horsepower and 545 pound-feet of torque. Let's launch this bad boy. We got the draggy on, and let's see what we can do. 3.5 seconds to 60 miles an hour. .61. Now I'm on winter tires and it's wet out, so that's quick, man. That's quick. Okay, one more time for good luck. One more time for good luck. .61 again? Damn, you're consistent. I love it. That's amazing. Doesn't it sound sick? I know it's so fake, but it sounds sick. .49. Exactly 1 month ago, CarWow dropped a video of this that cost $75,000 versus a Lamborghini Aventador SVJ that cost $550,000. Now you're sitting at a light with your whole family and the kids in the back are dying to see this Lambo until you hit the throttle and actually beat the Lambo off the line, and when he passes you, he sees these brakes that are pretty much the same color as the Lambo he spent $600,000 on. Look how far technology has come. It is unreal today that a Kia and a Lamborghini actually compete. So in today's show, we're gonna play a little game called Spot the Difference. We've reviewed an EV6 GT line, and today we've got the GT. Now you can spot the difference while I move away. So if you guessed vertical versus horizontal in the comments below, you would win a prize because that is exactly the difference. Here you have vertical, whereas in the EV6 GT line, you have horizontal. And here up top, you've got vertical, as opposed to horizontal. And that really is the difference.
That's crazy, dude!
Wow. I can't wait till the 1 million subscriber plaque goes right here, because that is our goal. For 2023, we're gonna hit 1 million subscribers. And that is because only 6% of you guys actually subscribe. Can you believe 94% of you watch these videos and don't hit this red button that says subscribe? Hit it. Now what Kia has done, just like the other EV6, is they have this clamshell hood. It's a very short hood, long back end. And I do like it because it actually differentiates itself from the Hyundai. It makes a difference that they have two similar cars but totally different exteriors, and that drags the consumer in, and that's really smart for Kia. Now the Kia Hyundai group actually makes their own steel, and that's why they can undercut the competition. They don't have to go and buy steel. They actually produce and make their own steel. That's cool, you know, monopoly. So on the front, it is distinctly different than the GT line. You've got 15-inch rotors. You've got these lime green brakes with absolutely no writing on them, which is curious to know why, Kia. I'd like you to put some writing on them. Maybe it's designed for us to put writing. You have 21-inch wheels that are specific to the GT, and you have these wonderful winter tires because normally you get Eagle F1s as far as grip. You have damping suspension, and it's stiffer suspension than the regular GT line. And in the back here, you have 14.2-inch rear brakes and also no writing on the calipers. So if you are interested in the EV6, we have a full in-depth review on our channel when we had the GT line, because the only real difference is performance. And these seats, but we'll come back to that in a second. I wanna get vertical. That's legitimately it. Vertical versus horizontal. That's the most simple design language ever. Seriously speaking though, the EV6 design is one of the best looking futuristic cars on the road today. This back end is unreal. Dude, this is a Kia. Look at this, like check this look out. It's so money. It's very unique and it's not for everybody, but from a futuristic perspective, this is it. You wanna see what's not futuristic looking? This thing is futuristic. If you disagree, we need comments. So this is the part of the show that we talk about the trunk and how much space there is and all that stuff, but we did that in the other. Scared the out of me. Oh my God, you can leave that in there. Now we have reviewed the EV6 GT line in general, and obviously this has the same amount of trunk space because I fit in that one, and I'm pretty much fitting in this one. Maybe. Ian! Front seat of the Kia EV6 GT. Now check this out. The biggest difference of this vehicle are these seats. These seats are like Recaros. They're sick. They hold you in. They look cool. They've got this lime green sort of piping and then stitching behind it. It mimics the brakes, so it kind of matches. I like that. And you have this GT button down here. It has its own drive mode that says GT right on it. Now, they're not powered in any way, shape, or form. And people complain about it. People say, look, for $75,000, I need to have powered seats. And I say, look, Frank, this thing has 576 horsepower. That's a lot of horsepower. This is not the first car ever built that has sports seats that are manual. You're just expecting a more luxury experience, but this is a sports car for the city, not a sports car for the track. The suspension, it's not super stiff. It's really designed for the street. The seats, they're fairly giving. They're not super bucket seats. They hold you in decently well. There's no lumbar support. It's just manual backwards and manual forwards, and a little bit of upsies and downsies. Now, overall visuals is pretty much exactly the same as the regular EV6, but there's some small little changes. And only if you owned one or reviewed one, you'd know the difference. Like, look over here on this center console. It has the same pattern, except it has one extra gray piece on this side. And then on this dash, you have this GT, which is new, but the design is pretty much the same, except it's just an extra line. It's so minuscule that you don't know it. Obviously the colored lime pops, and on the vent here it pops, the ambient lighting pops, but everything else is exactly the same, but you do have suede on the door panel. Now, as far as features go, there's a ton in the EV6. Generally speaking, it has heads-up display. You've got dual 12.3-inch screens. Yes, it does not have wireless CarPlay, but it does have wireless charging, which works amazing. You do have a little rotary knob for your reverse neutral drive. You do have heated seats. You have heated steering wheel. You have a ton of USB and USB-Cs. You have this little bridge thing, so you have more storage underneath because it is obviously electric. Tons of space. Underneath here, you have a massive glove box. You don't have a panoramic sunroof, you just have a single sunroof. It's got an all-black headliner. You do have a really big steering wheel, even though it is flat bottom. Not a huge fan of this look of the steering wheel, but it is what it is. But my favorite part of this, which is controversial, is this HVAC and radio controls. It's simply alternated by just putting your button to switch between radio and HVAC controls. And this is important because it takes up less space. Back seat of the EV6. Now, I will say it is weird to get into these cars because they're the same similar handle as the Tesla Model 3. You gotta kind of do one of these things, a little bit annoying. But when you get in, it's a totally different story. You have a flat floor, lots of space. This specific one has 2 increments of heated seats, one for me and one for Buddy over here. It also carries the same vibe as the front with this lime green stitching all the way around and right down the center, because again, this is a vertical style language or design language or whatever they call it, but it's all vertical. Nothing horizontal about the GT trim. Lots of space, and that is because this is called an SUV, which is the weirdest thing. It's like me telling everybody I'm tall and I can play basketball and dunk. Weird. As far as creature comforts go back here, there are vents on either side of the B-pillar, and there are 2 USB-Cs right there, which is kind of weird for Kia, to be honest. Usually they're hiding in the seat, maybe because these are special seats. Ones that don't have power. Kidding, Frank. Now, you don't get full power until you're over 70% of battery. So I'm at 85, and obviously it drains battery fairly heavy. And when the temperatures are cold, it's 5 degrees Celsius outside, which, do the math in on the translation to Fahrenheit. But let's talk about suspension. So it is soft. Even though I'm in GT mode and I got my suspension as stiff as possible with the damping suspension, it is very soft. Engaging. I mean, it's still an SUV, so it has to be comfortable. It can't be stiff. It just can't be stiff. But they also want to give you the power. but neither is the Tesla. Like, the Plaid is not stiff. It's still sort of soft. It's not like sports car-y. So a full charge will give you just about 300 and something kilometers. Now, those numbers are so hard to kind of say that they're legit because nobody's gonna drive this car like in like super quiet, chill, save battery power mode, unless you're, of course, if you've got like 100 miles to go and you only have 100 miles worth of range, then for sure. But on an everyday drive, you're gonna just pin it from time to time, and I find ranges very difficult or tricky to actually be honest about. I feel like manufacturers say that, but it's very, very, very loosely set. Depends on the weather. If it's cold outside, well, you lose like 30% of range. If it's hot outside and you got the air conditioning on full, well, you lose about 20% of range, 15 to 20%. So what does it all really mean? Now, the GT has the same 77.6 kilowatt hour battery as the long-range EV6, so same battery, but this has more performance software improvements. The other thing is when you have different drive modes, it actually limits horsepower. So in the eco mode, for example, it limits to about 245 horsepower or so. And obviously if you put it in the full GT shamity bang bang, you get 576. So you have different modes that allow different sort of power ranges so you can save the battery when you need it. It's really funny because when you drive sports cars in the city, you want the suspension to be as soft as possible, the steering to be as soft as possible, but have all the power in the world, and that's exactly what this is. Soft steering, soft suspension, all the power in the world. Now this is 46 kilograms heavier than the GT line, which means you get way more power, and it only weighs 46 kilograms more, and that's partly due to these seats. Not the whole deal, but partly due. So regenerative braking. Regenerative braking is as soon as I let go of my gas, the car automatically brakes. Now you can adjust in most brands, but in this one you have different levels of different increments. Right now I'm on the lowest setting, which means I can coast. So my foot's off, everything's off, and I'm still coasting. I'm actually slowing down at a normal rate, a little bit less than a normal rate. It's kind of, I get a little push, but it's just coasting. I'm not doing anything. And then I can press the paddle shifters all the way to the left, and I'm on full regenerative braking, which means I'm coming to almost a stop. So that's maximum braking or regenerative braking, which means it's not actually using the brakes on the brake pad. It's just reversing the energy, which means it's putting power back into the battery pack. So can the Kia EV6 GT charge my Tesla Model S Plaid? So we've brought the V2L connector, which essentially means the car becomes a full outlet. You plug it in, you go in the screen, you change the percentage, and this is my little handy dandy Tesla charging cable. I press this button, hopefully she opens up, I plug it in, and hopefully the Tesla does not blow up. The question of the day is my Tesla charging? Let's look at the number on the top right hand side, and baby, we are. It costs $75,000 though. And for 75,000 bucks, you think you can buy a lot of car today. But stuff is expensive, man. So I feel like when I think about a car being worth $75,000 today that you can buy in 2023 or potentially buy in 2023 if you can get your hands on one, that's a really good price for that money. And we're talking Canadian dollars, so in the US you're probably in the 50s somewhere. And that's a good buy for what this is, especially if you're in the city, you like speed, you need some versatility for space, you do like this futuristic design, you do get 1,000 miles or whatever of free complimentary charging. You have a great warranty because it's a Kia, and you have all the tech. I know we've got no wireless CarPlay, but you have wired. So I will say is in Canada, we do have issues when it comes to charging. To charge this thing is just not easy. The infrastructure still sucks so bad. It sucks so bad. Like, you can't do anything with a 6.6 kilowatt charger, and they're everywhere. There's a bunch of 50s, but they're hard to find. They're not that easy. So you live in a place that you can easily charge one, or you have an electric car at home and you only specifically use it from home to work or wherever and then back. You're not really worried about range anxiety, then that's cool. But as I said, if you can conquer the range and the plug-in portion of it, man, this thing is fun. Like, would you get this or a Model 3 Performance? Oh, that's a hard one. I mean, the Model 3 Performance is cool, but this build quality is a million times better. There won't be a million of these things on the road. I don't know, man. Got something to think about. Got some competition. We'll catch you on the next one.